Western society is not a patriarchal society. What do I mean by Western society is not patriarchal? There is no statistical mathematical equation that exists that can prove that Western society is patriarchal. It's just not. The courts favour women. Alimony in the US and basically child maintenance in the UK favours women. Women are believed more in court legalistical systems. The conceptual points of a patriarchy do not measure up to side any Western society as we speak. In fact, it could be mathematically accumulated and accurate to state that Western society is more matrilineal in its behaviour than patrilineal. These are just mathematical equations you can find in statistics. You can go through the conviction ratings, the death ratings, the suicide ratings. You can go through all of the metric surrounding men to women ratio, and you can find without a shadow of a doubt that men are not the ruling perpetratable elite that the Western feminist movement would have you believe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Yahya. Welcome back to my page. Let's get into it. So, where do I stand and hold on this point of view? Well, in reality, women benefit from Western society. This is not something that's open to a question. It's a reality. The statistics all sit unquestionably. Any amount of actual digital search, even in a Google engine, I hate using Google, but even when you could use a Google, you will find that the metric on a patriarchal society is non-existent when you look at what a patriarchal society is. Now, what is an example of a modern patriarchal society? Well, I will give you a modern patriarchal society. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a model of a real patriarchal society. In its un-Islamic behaviour towards our sisters, in their denial of many of their Islamic rights, with the only just releasing their rights to become the ability to drive, imprisoning multiple sisters for trying to stand up for the Islamic rights of our sisters, etc., etc., etc. That is a modelled patriarchal society. Now, anybody with half a brain cell could work out the West has nowhere near any Western country, even the right-wing social structures of Poland and Hungary, by what the West calls right-wing. I don't personally think they're right-wing. I think they're quite civic, very centralistical countries who care about their culture and society. And that's me being generally honest about them. And I wish Ireland and Britain was more modelled around what Hungary and Poland live like in supporting their cultural, traditional roles, but they don't. Yes, there is a lot of Islamophobia in their countries, and that's because it's based around history, but we are digressing. The social, economical, and financial marketable positions do not support that we are in a patriarchal society. We're not. We're just not. Businesses favour trying to hire women more often. Men roles, jobs are not being broken into by women. Plumbing is 90% male. Oil rigging is 99% male. And these are jobs that are actually dangerous. We'll go down them, shall we? So oil rigs are incredibly dangerous to work on. Overhead electronics, construction, deep countryside trucking, especially things like in Canada and America, and the outback Australian ones as another example. Any of the dangerous jobs in the world, full stop, are run by men. The idea that we live in a male-driven society is because feminists see this glass ceiling, this metaphysical glass ceiling of the corporate world. The problem being is, I don't want to work the hours that these hyper-fixated corporate financial men work. Their working weeks are 60 to 80 hours plus. I don't care what you say. I don't want to work 60 to 80 hours, okay? I want downtime. I want to spend time reading Quran. I want to spend time watching documentaries. I want to spend time reading the statistics that I quite often bring to you, my Muslim subscribers. Alhamdulillah, I'm deeply appreciated for those of you who support me on this page. The reality sits unquestionably. We do not live in a feminist society. We do not live in a patriarchal society. We don't even live in a feminist society either. But it favours women more. And it favours women looking after children more. Western society is more women looking, I wouldn't say feministic by its own nature, women looking than it is male driven. The point of the matter is there is this tiny minority, the 1% of the wealthy elite of the world are men. I'm not denying that statistic. Let's be fair about this. The 1% are men, but they are also men who don't go home for Christmas because they're pseudo-Christianical. They don't go home for holidays. They don't stop working when they're on holiday. They barely see their wives. Quite often their wives are unfaithful. They never see their children. The type of lifestyle they live is absolutely unhealthy because they must have their social fix of hyperly competitive in their market. The 1% are trying to devour each other, and they continue to move in this circle pond like sharks and hunting each other and attacking. They barely notice any of us living here. They only notice their wives when their wives are kicking off. They're going to divorce them and cost them billions in their alimonies. And the reality is the alimony system still supports these billionaire wives. So the idea that we live in a patriarchy is almost an oxymoron. And it baffles me when people state that we live in a patriarchal society. Now, I want to get back towards something else that I wanted to add on to this video because I don't want to make two videos today. OPEC and their oil arrangements. They're playing with fire. Because if there's anything that the Western society is good at, it's fucking over brown people. Let's just say what it is. And I genuinely feel that them backing the Russians is a fundamental mistake. Even if they're looking to only profit by lowering the amount of barrels that they're producing, they are unquestionably playing with fire. Because there is only so far you can push a warmongering, psychotic nation like the United States of America so far. And let's be fair about this, brothers and sisters. That's what America is. America is an oil-drunk, mass world bully who goes out of its way to pick fights. And Saudi Arabia and the OPEC countries outside of Russia are playing with fire. They genuinely are. Because if they genuinely think that the US will not up sticks and abandon them, they don't see history very well. Just look at how they left the entire Afghan elite leadership on the corruption that they abandoned the minute they'd had enough and the American people pulled out. So don't tell me they won't abandon you, brothers and sisters, because you've got oil. They will. They genuinely will. And they're unafraid to find other sources of fuel. This is why fracking came into existence. This is why they've been reserving much of the American oil fields. This is why they are now easing political tensions with Venezuela as we speak. They have options. They have literal options. The American superpower will shift up its politics from the Middle East to South America and Asia Minor very, very quickly to the point where they will abandon you. And I think Saudi Arabia and the other OPEC Arab countries are playing with fire. And they do not realize how incredibly callous the United States of America can be. And they've proven it. Historically, they have proven it time and time and time again. And people don't realize how incredibly damaging this situation can be, especially when dealing with something like OPEC. And I know they're the oil providers of the world. I know they have a massive role to play in the Western world, but they've never, ever diversified. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. For a set of countries that are super rich to not want to diversify their cultural, social, and other industries is, in my mind, absolutely baffling. Because hypothetically speaking, oil becomes useless tomorrow for whatever advanced technology comes out. Those countries will crash. The lifestyles that those tribes have had will crash. The deserts will swallow those cities. And I don't think our Muslim brothers and sisters are quite prepared. It would only take something like an immediate discovery of fusion or applicable fusion that could be plugged into a car to realise how quickly the Western world would abandon the Middle East. Now, from my point of view, from a historical point of view, that would be a blessing, because it would mean that we would be able to clear up that one problem we have in the Middle East and could start developing our region Islamically for ourselves. But I don't think the OPEC nations realise how quickly the West will abandon them. And I think people need to start thinking like that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a pleasure having you all on my video.